Ambrose Lee-War left the Hong Kong SAR government in July 2012 at the age of 64 after having served as Secretary for Security for 9 years. He emerged recently from retirement and stood for election as a local deputy to the National People's Congress. He finished second among the 36 elected as deputies with 1,387 votes. In an exclusive interview with China Daily, Lee said he hopes to draw on his experience as security chief to help fight corruption and strengthen the rule of law on the mainland.
I enjoy my retired life very much. It gives me plenty of time to stay with my families, to do the things I like. But I also receive some encouragement from my fellow friends, saying that I should contribute to the development of the country and the well-being of Hong Kong. So after some time of consideration, I decided to run for the NPC seat. I think I can contribute in two areas. One is the rule of law, the development of the rule of law in the mainland, and also contribute to the anti-corruption efforts now pushed by the top leaders in Beijing. As you know, all through my 38.5 years of service in the Hong Kong government, I am responsible for law enforcement as well as anti-corruption work. I think the Hong Kong experience is a valuable reference for our motherland to push for anti-corruption drive in the coming years.
The model of Hong Kong's Independent Commission Against Corruption, which enjoys a very high reputation at the international level, could be applicable to the mainland, he suggested, but the success of the anti-graft drive hinges on two major factors.
Very important factors. One is the support from the top hierarchy of our government. Without the full support of the top leaders, the battle is difficult to carry on. Another very important factor is persistence. I think the drawing from Hong Kong's experience, now our anti-graft war lasts for almost one generation, that is almost 30 years. It's only in the late 90s that we can claim that Hong Kong is a comparatively clean, corruption-free community. Now, looking at the vast area of our country, the 1.3 billion population, the difference in development between the West and the East, I think it will also take 1 or 2 generations for this war to end. So unless the top leaders persevere, otherwise we will lose the battle in the end.
The first 6 months of the administration of Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying have witnessed large-scale protests, drawing hundreds of thousands of people to the streets. As a former government official, Ambrose Lee sees two major reasons behind the massive protests.
Well, I think the problems encountered by the new chief executive, I think can be classified on two different categories. One is his personal problem related to the illegal structure, and one is related to some policies he put up. For the first kind of problem, I think it's only up to the chief executive to deal with his personal problem. Now, for the controversial policies that was opposed by some members of the community, all I can say is that through all these years, many policy issues have been politicized. by members of different political parties.
Lee also points out that the number of protests and processions has increased significantly because the freedom of speech and assembly is protected by the Basic Law.
After the handover in 1997, we have witnessed an increase in the number of marches, protests. This is a good sign that under the Basic Law, the right of demonstration, freedom of speech have all been maintained. Now, but we have also witnessed that a small number of protesters these days adopted a more violent form of demonstration. Well, even during my days as Secretary of Security, we have witnessed some violent demonstrators challenging our police officers on the street, disobeying directions given by the police, and blocking the passageway. I think these actions are sort of very uncivilized and cannot be accepted. We must insist that to uphold the very words of the law. If they break the law, then we have, as a law enforcement agency, we have to uphold the rule of law.